So apparently a guy in Australia just screamed so loud he got a Guinness World Record. And no, I'm not joking. This man is a town crier, which already sounds like a job from like 1472, and he somehow turned yelling into a world record event by hitting 122.4 decibels. That is insanely loud. Like, that's not slightly raised voice loud. That's not my friend when he loses in a video game loud. That is your eardrums have filed a police report loud. So here's what happened. In Australia, a town crier decided he was going to scream his lungs into the history books and somehow actually did it. He let out a scream so loud that it measured 122.4 decibels, which is apparently enough to land him in Guinness World Records. I just want to know, how do you even discover that talent? Imagine being a kid and your parents are like, wow, our son doesn't sing, doesn't dance, doesn't play sports, but he can scream louder than a jet engine trying to start a lawnmower. That's a gift. That's a curse. That's content, man. For comparison, that's louder than your average conversation, a vacuum cleaner, probably half the people in Xbox voice chat, and definitely me if I saw a spider the size of a cheeseburger. Like, this man didn't just yell, he detonated. You know the people nearby were just standing there like, wow, what a nice day. And now their soul has left their body. Imagine being the person whose job it was to measure that too. Alright, sir, whenever you're ready, please scream directly into this machine. That has to be one of the weirdest jobs ever. And the funniest part is that he's a town crier. So this is basically the perfect job for him. Back in the day, town criers were the people who would go around yelling important news to everyone because, nobody had phones or internet or literally anything useful. So I guess this guy just took the job description and said, yeah, but what if I screamed with the force of a collapsing building? This isn't a town crier anymore. This is a human emergency alarm. If this guy tells you the bakery's open, the whole continent hears it. But I think we need to talk about the real issue here, because if one guy can scream at 122.4 decibels, what if he gets mad in traffic? What happens if he steps on a Lego? What happens if someone spoils a movie for him? That's not an argument anymore. That's a natural disaster. Australia already has giant weapons, weird creatures, and now they've got a man who can weaponize his vocal cords. That country is just built different, bro. So yeah, the loudmouth situation is that an Australian town crier screamed so loud he got a world record with 122.4 decibels, which is honestly one of the funniest things I've heard in a while. Imagine training your whole life not to run faster, jump higher, or lift more, but to just absolutely obliterate the air with one scream. Respect, honestly. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, because I clearly spend my time reporting on the most important news on Earth. If you think you could beat 122.4 decibels, please don't do it anywhere near me.